Electoral offences. In this class, we're going to identify the most important electoral offences in the Electoral Act and other legislations in Nigeria that criminalizes certain conduct before, during, and after elections. And this reinforces what we discussed in the opening class, that elections are regulated by laws in Nigeria. What we do on the polling day, how we cast our votes are determined by election. Discretion is limited. So doing things sometimes is a crime if it violates those rules and those processes. So in this class, I'm going to take us through 10 of these major offenses that are highlighted in the Electoral Act. The first offense is the possession of more than one voter's card. So it's a crime in Nigeria for you to have 2 voters' cards, and the law frowns specifically at this. So anybody caught with having more than one voter's card, it's liable to at least 6 months imprisonment and a fine of 500,000. So what that means is that if you have 2 voters' cards, one registered in 2 different names, you've committed a crime under the Electoral Act. The second crime under the Electoral Act, the second crime is impersonation. Impersonation is criminalized under the Electoral Act. So what it means is that the husband cannot vote for the wife, the son for the father, or identical twins. So the right to vote is not transferable. You have to be physically present at the ballot. You have to be physically present at the polling center. You must come with your voter's card, and you must be able to vote. You cannot transfer the right to vote. You cannot sell that card. Nobody can vote for you in lieu. You have to be there. The third offense is voting more than once in an election. It's a crime to vote more than once. So you cannot thumbprint more than a single ballot paper. You cannot vote here and go to the next voting center to vote. You cannot vote more than once in every election. Then also it's a crime to forge any ballot paper. So what this means by implication is that it's a crime for you to be caught with a forged ballot paper. The fifth offense is that voting with unauthorized paper or result. So if you are caught with with a fake ballot paper, a fake result paper, or if you're caught writing election results, these are crimes under the Electoral Act. And this particularly addresses a common trend in a common electoral fraud, a common electoral crime in Nigeria, where people print ballot papers before election and they circulate it, where election results are written on unauthorized election results, where politicians collude with electoral officers to use illegitimate electoral documents. These are condemned, these are crimes under the Electoral Act. Also, one interesting innovation in the Electoral Act is inducing voters to vote, buying vote, giving voters money to vote. And the ambit of inducement is wide. It doesn't have to be money alone. What happens to giving voters food, giving them water, actively inducing voters? However it is done, it's a crime under the law. It goes beyond giving money alone. If things of value are given, it's a crime under the law. Also, this should be well noted. Acting disorderly or inciting others to act disorderly at a polling center, it's a crime under the Electoral Act. So when you instigate others to violence, that INEC has not come on time, we are not going to agree, and in starting a riot or starting a disturbance, disorderliness in the voting center, it's a crime. And the Electoral Act states punishment for this as a crime. Also, the 8th crime that I'm going to mention talks about violation of the secrecy of the vote. So what this means is that voting in Nigeria, it's by secret ballot. You should not thumbprint and go show it around. Neither should you thumbprint and snap it. If you do this, this is a violation of the Electoral Act. This is penalized. This is criminalized under the Electoral Act. So when people go in and snap who they voted for, they should know that they are liable to violate this particular section. The night crime talks about snatching and destruction of election materials. This is a common trend in electoral violence in Nigeria. So meaning that people attack ballot centers, destroy thumb-printed ballot papers, cut away ballot boxes, set it on fire. These are crimes under the Electoral Act, and this needs to be emphasized for people who are going to be used as political thugs. If you are caught, beyond other punishment, there's a specific punishment for snatching and destruction of electoral materials. And the final crime that I'm going to talk about under this subheading is bribery or conspiracy to bribe. Bribing electoral officers, bribing party agents, bribing security services, bribing active stakeholders involved in the election. If the intention is to induce a particular conduct, then it's a crime. So we must understand that. So how you conduct yourself in the election, from the point you arrive at the voting center to the point you leave, is regulated by the law. If you do anything outside the process, if you violate any of the process, it's a crime and it's punished by the electoral law. Champions in educating electorate should emphasize this. Voting centers where they are going to vote, their action is regulated by the law. And this law outlaws certain conduct: impersonation, possession of more than one voter's card, thumb printing more than once, forgery of ballot paper, selling your votes, giving voters money, inducing voters, acting disorderly, causing riots at the polling centers. These are all crimes under the Electoral Act, and voters should be educated adequately about this.